Where can you find gourmet organic coffees, a friendly hometown atmosphere, and beautiful views of Humboldt Bay and beyond? It's Has Beans Cafe, open every day at 2nd and I Street in the heart of Old Town Eureka.
So I'm a health nut. I think people should eat well. I think that if you eat well, you'll be happier and you'll have less crime. All of these things are so connected. I'm a green. I've been a green for way back somewhere in the early 80s, I think. And I believe that the Greens have really great values. I just wish that we could get a movement together again. And when you hear Laura, you'll see that she's thinking that maybe by 2014 we will be having some big candidates and doing something on a national scale and statewide scale. The other thing is, I think small is beautiful. We don't have to build huge, big projects. We don't have to build any projects if we don't need them. You know, we don't have to develop the marina or the track, what's it called, the track? The balloon track, that's the word I'm trying to think of. The balloon track, we don't have to build a building or buildings on the balloon track just to give people some jobs. Do we need the balloon track? Do we need a big box hardware store to wipe out all the local ones? No. So, you know, just building a building to fill up space doesn't make sense. We need to plan ahead for what we build. If we have this wonderful waterfront, we should be careful what we put there. We don't just put a 4-story building on the edge and then worry about what is behind it. So small is beautiful, a little bit at a time, but well done. And then last, the other thing, what crime already mentioned, so I'm not going to take that up right now. You pretty much know how I am on that. I just don't think that crime responds real well to just squadrons of police. I think it responds to people caring about their community and making it better. So the last thing I want to mention is this idea that my son is working on with his lost foods, and he's got some sample bars there. But basically, he and I both believe that nature has a lot of things that it provides for us in abundance. And we've changed this world around so that we think we're providing a lot of things in abundance, but we're really wrecking the stores that nature has for us. And we have to get back to using the things that nature provides for us, but remembering to pay back to nature what we owe so that it can continue. And it works for everything from lumber to food and to any kind of resource that we need to use. Humans can be a beneficiary of the natural ecosystem. So that's about all I want to say. I think we need to inhabit the earth in an ecological way and care about each other. And I really think that worrying about how much money we have isn't as important as how much is already here that we benefit from without money. So I'd like to at this time introduce Laura. And Laura's been with the Green Party since what, the 80s?
Since it was on the ballot in 92.
And she ran for controller in 2006 or 2 and 6. Okay, 2 and 6. And she's got some really good ideas, which I would just as soon let her explain rather than try to tell you about them.
2006. I mean, run until we win. And everybody would laugh. But then I started, it planted the seed in my own mind. And my daughter, who's 26, she went to UC Santa Cruz. She's a website designer, graphic designer. And she started putting together my website when we realized that the Green Party needed a candidate for governor. And so I said, if you don't find anybody else, I'll do it. And so here I am. So that decision was made in December. Yes. And now I'm saying again, as Xandra gave you a bit of a preview, I may run until we win. Because sooner or later, California needs leadership that is not part of the system, the status quo system, that is choosing the basic choice, and this is very hard for us to fully realize. It's hard for me to fully realize. I read books about, called Free Lunch, how our system is rigged toward the very rich and making the rest of us pay, and Perfectly Legal, about how our tax system is rigged. And I read them, and I can't even retain the horrible methods that there are, but it's worse than anybody thinks. Remember 25 years ago, I heard Patricia Schroeder, who was a congressperson from Colorado, and somebody said, you know, they talk about the effect of money on our government. Is it as bad as all those, you know, alarmists? Is it as bad as everybody says? And she said, whatever the most cynical person in this room thinks, it's worse than that. And that was 25 years ago. Now in January of 2010, January of this year, the Supreme Court, do you remember what the Supreme Court decision was about corporations and free speech? What they said was that corporate persons, as a part of their free speech, could give as much money as they wanted to political campaigns. And across the political spectrum, people thought, no, that's not right. Corporations are not persons. They serve a particular function, but their values are very, very narrow. It's the bottom line, how much money can you make? Whereas our values are our health and fun and beauty and taking care of the kids and taking care of nature. It's a much more complex and rich set of values than you have if you're corporate persons. The real persons have those kinds of values. Well, Green Party candidates only take contributions from real persons. We do not take corporate campaign contributions. So that when we're in office, and Arcata, I think, led the way as being the first city council that ever had a Green Party majority. And then there's been one there's one in Fairfax, there's been one in Sebastopol. Green actually stands not just for the green of the forests, but the green of the budget, the green of money. They would balance the budget, do what they said they were going to do, and then when they went to the citizens for more funding, which comes in the form of taxes, the citizens would say, okay, well, you said you'd do a park, you did the park. You said you'd do senior housing, you did senior housing. And that's the kind of government that we need. The things that I'm focusing on in this campaign, this Green Party campaign for governor, is that there are solutions. The main thing is that there are solutions. Some of the things that we need to do, one of the solutions is to undo the things that have undone California. I mean, how many of us here know that California's educational system was the envy of the country? It has been known as, and it was free, you know, the tuition was free, so that people would get good education, and that would increase it would improve our economy and help jobs and the creativity of this state. Well, now we're 47th in per pupil spending. Our results actually aren't as bad as that, so the students are doing a good job with fewer resources. But we want to give them more of an opportunity. Prop 13, which was voted on in 1978, for the purpose of making sure that seniors, especially seniors on a fixed income, were able to stay in their homes and not lose them because of rising property taxes. because they'd bought their houses went up in value, their property taxes went up in value, and they were paying more in property taxes than they were in mortgages, they were paying more than they could afford. So they voted for Prop 13. How many people know that sometimes those propositions have little hidden zingers in the background? So 2 zingers. One was that the major beneficiaries of the flattened property tax in 1978, corporations and commercial properties. Corporate and commercial properties. In total, they used to pay something like 60% of it, now they pay 40%. Homeowners in total used to pay something like 40%, now 60%. And the brunt of that, so people that are paying have been in their homes for 40 years, and we want to keep people in their homes. Not change Prop 13, not take that part away. Keep the good parts of Prop 13. But sometimes, but who wants to have the benefit? Maybe some folks do, but not that many folks want to have the benefit themselves, while a new homeowner, possibly a much younger person next door, pays 5 times the property tax. That's not fair in most people's books, and we can still keep people in their homes and make it a lot more fair. Split roll is one of the things that they talk about, to make sure that the corporations and the commercial properties are reassessed, like on an annual basis, for example, and that the homeowners stay, the property tax stays lower. It's them taxing me. No, we're being taxed. The vast majority of us are being taxed 10% sales tax. That tax has gone up over the years. And that's something that people of lower income, middle class, and even the affluent pay much more of a proportion of our income on sales tax than the richest of the rich. And also the tuition fees, where the UCs, the University of California, has got 32% rate, like in 1 year. That's a crime. It's some kind of governmental crime. But the richest of the rich are getting off paying for anything. So what they say, and there is a they there, they being the people that are in control of the government and the media, say is that, well, we don't want it. Meg Whitman's perfect. If there's nothing else I do as governor, I will protect your Prop 13. And she should say my Prop 13, because she's the beneficiary of it. Rather than tell people, let's keep the good parts and fix the bad. But that's Prop 13. I feel like I'm on a mission for it. It's very difficult stuff to get across, especially when it's been mum's the word about it for 30 years. And everybody says you can't talk about Prop 13 because people love it. They love one little part of it. It's, honey, I love you, but you got to change, Dear Prop 13. But I've discovered, I'm taking away that excuse. It's not because of the voters. It's because of themselves. They're putting it off on the voters. The voters, if you spent some time and explained it, if Jerry Brown, who was governor when it came in, had taken care of business, it wouldn't have happened in the first place. Right. But if he brought it in, he could take it out by opening his mouth right now, and won't do it. Won't do it. I've lived with, here's what he said, I've lived with Prop 13 before, I can live with it again. It's like, what about the rest of us? It is not all about you, Jerry. And I already told you what Meg Whitman said. I'll tell you what Schwarzenegger said. Warren Buffett, it's like the second richest guy in the country. He was an advisor in 2003 when we first got Arnie as the governor. And so Warren Buffett was an advisor, and he said, if you really want to take care of, fix California, you need to dump Prop 13, or at least, fix it up. And what Arnold Schwarzenegger said was,